Good to have every one of you on here. We are recording, so I'm going to open it up for questions and answers at the end. So write down any questions and answers that you have as we're going through our short presentation today. And I just am really excited that we get to share some principles of wellness that are just made really simple. Just give me a thumbs up if you can see my slide on your screen. First of all, as we talk about wellness, I want to compare the modern approach to what we're going to be talking about today. So the modern approach is a focus on managing symptoms. Many of the pharmaceuticals that are prescribed to us today when we go to our medical care providers, doctors, nurse practitioners, focus really on managing symptoms. These pharmaceuticals are made from synthetic agents. They're chemicals put together in a lab, and they all have side effects. We know about some of them. We don't know about some of the others. And in spite of that, we are spending $6.5 trillion on global healthcare every year. So let me ask you, do you think that we are actually healthier now than we were 10 or 15 years ago? I am thinking we probably aren't. But as we look at using the natural approach, this is an approach from nature, things designed by God, we can actually address some of the major root issues in our health challenges today. When we use the resources that God gives us in the form of food and water and plants that help to support our body, we find they're safe, they're natural from the earth. We have side benefits instead of side effects. And it actually goes back to laying a foundation of what our body needs, which brings us to our topic today of foundational wellness. When we talk about foundational wellness, we're talking about addressing the root causes of disease and what pushes disease in our body. So we're going to dive into that a little bit today, because no matter what common chronic illness you are suffering from in America or Europe or developed countries today, we know that the root cause, what is really pushing the development of that disease, is inflammation in our body. Inflammation is what our immune system does when it's responding to injury or illness. So it's supposed to be a healthy short-term response. That's called acute inflammation. It's exactly what we want when we cut our finger, when we burn ourselves. We want our body's immune system to mount an inflammatory response to help with healing. But that's supposed to be short term. It's not supposed to be something that is with us day after day, year in and year out. When we experience our immune system having to fight day in and day out, year after year, we're no longer talking about acute inflammation. We're talking about a chronic state of inflammation. And when we're in a chronic state of inflammation, it turns on the switch for our cortisol levels. And when our cortisol levels go up, we find that our body's fighting soldiers, the monocytes, are less sensitive to cortisol, and our immune system is weakened, which means it doesn't know how to shut down inflammation when it's no longer needed. And that is actually the mechanism that pushes most of the disease that we experience today. We find that as we're exposed to inflammation over the long term, that everything we put in or out of our body is either helping that inflammation to get better or making it worse. And this exposure to inflammation actually produces disease in our bodies. In our brains, it can lead to things like Alzheimer's and poor memory, but it affects our lungs and our gallbladder, our liver, our skin. You can see from the diagram here that it affects every part of our body. In fact, we know that one of the reasons that people really suffer with so much inflammation in our society today is because they often are imbalanced when it comes to their omega-6s and their omega-3s. Our very good ratio would be having enough omega-3s to balance out the amount of omega-6s in our diet. But what we find is that most people are getting way more omega-6 than they need and not nearly enough omega-3. And so just keep that in mind as we're talking about inflammation, because when we're low on our omega-3s, it really pushes inflammation. And that inflammation shows up in our body in many different ways. It shows up as autoimmune disease, as a cardiovascular disease, as neurodegenerative diseases like Alzheimer's, gastrointestinal disease, that's problems with our gut, chronic headaches, lung disease, mental illness, joint and muscle pain. All of these are just different evidences of inflammation that our body's trying to deal with. We also know that one of the things that makes inflammation worse is when our bodies are dealing with a lot of toxins. And we live in an environment where every day our body is being bombarded with toxins. We have toxins in our medications. Processed foods and sugars introduce more toxic elements into our body. Personal care products, most of our cleaning supplies, heavy metals and mold, fragrances, even emotions like unforgiveness create toxins in our body that increase inflammation. And that's why doTERRA has the pillars or a framework for wellness, because everything that we put in or on our body either feeds or fights inflammation. And because inflammation is the root of all disease, we want to address disease at the root level. That is, we want to prevent disease. And the 6 steps that you see here in our step ladder or framework are the ways in which we can make choices that help to address inflammation in a preventive fashion. In other words, when we're making good choices and laying a strong foundation with nutrition and digestion, it helps to lay a foundation to lower inflammation in our body. Same thing with movement and metabolism. All of these are lifestyle choices that we have control over: resting, managing our stress, reducing toxicity, making sure we're taking care of our bodies in an intelligent manner. All of these are things that can lay a foundation for wellness and help us to reduce the inflammation in our bodies. So many people have said, well, if I want to make sure that I'm taking care of the gaps in my nutrition, I just need to take some supplements. Well, there's some really strong studies done by the FDA from 2007 to 2016 where they found that many supplements on the market today are contaminated. They found these contaminants in over 700 supplements that were produced by 146 of our leading companies. In fact, they even looked at 3 of the leading memory supplements, and they found that 2 out of those 3 didn't even have the active ingredient that was mentioned on their labels. So you can see that there's a lot of things out there in the supplement world that cost you money, but aren't actually contributing to your health. So how do we know how to choose a nutritional supplement that's actually going to be helpful? Well, here are some of the things you want to look for. You want to look for quality and purity. That means there has to be third-party testing for foreign contaminants. You want things that are derived from whole foods, not created synthetically in a laboratory. And you want them sourced sustainably, because we want to keep things in balance in our world, that we're not cutting off our nose to spite our face or decreasing the resources we need to be able to access these wonderful gifts from nature over the long term. And we also want it to be a daily, simple routine. So as we look at what's creating disease for us, what's our modern problem around creating disease? We've talked about inflammation. Inflammation is greatly increased when we have nutrient deficiencies and toxic overloads. Let's talk about some of the things that affect that. Things like food that's ripening on trucks before we get it to the supermarket. We have soil that is lacking nutrition because of the way it's been treated. We have GMOs, pesticides, glyphosate, that's things like Roundup, that are getting into our food supply. And many of the supplements that we're taking to try to fill the gap in our nutrition are synthetic and not even being well absorbed by our bodies. And sometimes it seems like incorporating healthy habits into our lifestyle, it's just overwhelming. It seems like it's complicated. Maybe it's too many things to do. As you can see on this slide, most adults in the United States are not getting as much as they need of some of these vital nutrients. In fact, most people aren't getting enough vitamin D. 94% aren't getting enough vitamin E, not getting enough magnesium, vitamin A, calcium, or vitamin C. And so these are things that really are critical for us to pay attention to. And we find that some of the 5 most common health concerns of people age 40 and up are linked to inflammation. So let's take a look at these links. For example, high cholesterol. We find that when you're experiencing chronic inflammation, it upsets the way our body regulates cholesterol breakdown and elimination and can create higher cholesterol levels. It affects our blood vessels. Chronic inflammation damages the lining of our blood vessels and increases our risk for developing high blood pressure. It also disrupts nitric oxide production, which is very important for keeping a normal blood pressure. So you can read all of the different ways in which this inflammation is contributing to, for example, diabetes, especially type 2. We get metabolic dysfunction leading to higher blood sugar levels, and often that's related to leaky gut, worsening insulin resistance because of our gut health. Acid reflux is related to chronic stress, which is increasing cortisol, reduces stomach acid production, slows digestion, gives us all kinds of problems. And depression is now widely recognized as an inflammatory condition where we find that chronic stress gives us higher levels of cortisol, which actually shrinks parts of our brain that are necessary for regulating our mood. So inflammation is connected to all of these common diseases. So how does modern medicine apply its principles to these diseases? Well, here are the most commonly used medications, but I want you to pay attention to the gray column, which has evidence-based alternatives to these medications to treat these same 5 problems. So for high cholesterol, we know that instead of using statins, we can use dietary changes, increase our fiber, get probiotics, regular exercise. Those are things that can positively affect our high cholesterol without the negative side effects. High blood pressure, instead of antihypertensives, we can find that there's many dietary changes like having more leafy greens, magnesium, barley grass, chlorella, different things can really help with high blood pressure. What about diabetes? Well, obviously, some things like a whole food diet, berberine, cinnamon, strength training are all things that improve our insulin sensitivity instead of having to use something like metformin, which is often prescribed for prediabetes and type 2 diabetes. And we find that the rates of these diseases going up after the age of 40. So all of these are areas in which we have alternatives that are based on good nutrition, foundational wellness, and looking at good dietary changes as well. And here's where we really see the doTERRA advantage shine. And I want to introduce you to this foundational wellness product that I use every single day. It's called VMG Plus, along with E Omega and PB Restore. And these are natural essential oil enhanced supplements that can really make a difference in our bodies and help our bodies to fight inflammation at a foundational root cause level. So what is VMG? That's the first product in this system. It's a whole food nutrient complex, which has been curated into an all-in-one daily nutritional powdered drink that has over 90 high-quality ingredients, including whole food vitamins and minerals, fruits, vegetables, digestive enzymes, probiotics, essential oils, and other beneficial nutrients. And because of the cellular support blend that's included in this, we find that the bioavailability, that means the amount of these nutrients that your body's actually absorbing, can go up by as much as 400%. And the delivery system is liposomal, which means it goes through the cell wall barrier easier than many other synthetic vitamins and minerals. So this not only is a really good source from whole foods and includes vitamins, minerals, and greens, that's what the VMG stands for, but we find that it's also combined with essential oils that help us with the absorption and the bioavailability of these nutrients, which is super important. And guess what? It's super simple. It is so easy to incorporate into your daily routine. Every little packet just has some powder that you can mix in 5 to 8 ounces of water, stir it up, and drink it. And if you add the EO Omega, which is a really great, high quality, contaminant-free source of omega-3 fatty acids, and the PB Restore, which is your probiotic blend, you have a really great recipe for foundational wellness. Let's talk a little bit about why these omegas are so important. One of the reasons is that 95% of Americans fall short of the recommended levels of the essential fatty acids, EPA and DHA. And in fact, the way a lot of people supplement with this is using fish oil. And we know that 82% of fish oil supplements on the market do not comply with their own labeling claims for these ratios. And we also have to deal with heavy metal contamination in many of the fish oil supplements on the market today because of the mercury and other heavy metal contaminations. And so that can create huge problems that are actually more of a danger than the benefit of fish oil. I just saw something on that from Dr. Neil Nedley, who works a lot with depression and anxiety, and he was looking at comparing fish oil supplements as we find them on the market today, and how many of them actually are more dangerous than helpful because of the contaminants. In this essential oil omega complex from doTERRA, you'll find that it gives you 900 milligrams of omega-3 fatty acids and 800 milligrams of both EPA and DHA. And it's combined with wild orange essential oil, which helps to prevent oxidation. Super important with fatty acids. And in fact, we found in a study with participants that took the omega supplement with wild orange that they had a 42% improvement in blood pressure regulation and a 23% drop in resting heart rate. We didn't see that with people that were taking a standard omega supplement. So we find that these fatty acids help to support many areas of our health: cardiovascular health, eye health, brain health, healthy detox pathways, just so many ways in which this is helpful. And so then let's talk about gut health. That's the third piece of this system. Well, gut health is important because it's like your second brain. We find that it's critical in weight management, immune function, mental wellness, and about 90% of your body's serotonin and other feel-good chemicals are actually produced in the gut. So having a healthy gut is super important. And these are all lifestyle choices that affect our gut health. So for example, if we aren't getting enough sleep, we live in a city, we've taken antibiotics, which kill both good and bad bacteria, not getting enough fiber, all of those are things that negatively impact our gut health. So does chlorine-containing water, sweets and alcoholic beverages. All of the different things that you see listed here are things that negatively affect our gut health. So gut health is foundational. We can restore and replenish it with the PB Restore. It's more than just a probiotic, because not only does it have 18 billion CFUs of helpful bacteria, but it helps you to maintain a healthy balance, supports healthy digestion, immune function, metabolism, and food absorption. Very important. In fact, Dr. Perlmutter says probiotics are the future of preventive medicine because it's so important for enhancing our mood and brain function. And here's why I only use doTERRA when I'm looking to really build foundational wellness for myself and for my family. And it's because they don't use any fillers, synthetics, and they don't dilute. Essential oils have been used in healthcare for centuries. They do not have side effects. They are made from plants grown in their ideal environments. And when you have ideal chemistry, it means you also have really consistent outcomes. All of the doTERRA products go through 54 tests to ensure that they're pure and they're potent, like they work for you. They can be used topically on your skin. They can be used aromatically as aromatherapy in a diffuser, and they can be used internally In fact, if you look at the labels on the doTERRA bottle, anyone that says supplement facts on the label is one that you can also take internally. Not every single one can be taken internally. And not only that, but doTERRA controls the source of the oils from the farmer to the bottle in your home. And that is something that's really unique, and it allows them to control the quality and make sure it's tested at all of the different levels. And we work responsibly with partners and artisans from over 45 countries so that we can get the best seeds being used to make the best soil and have the best growing environments to produce the essential oils of the highest quality. And many times you might have specific challenges. Well, doTERRA's got some things to help you with specific health challenges. And I'm just going to go through these kind of quickly, just so you know. And then if one of these kind of strikes you and you're like, oh yeah, that's something that I am challenged with, then we can always dig into that more with you one-on-one, what would be a good match for you. But I just want you to know about areas of health that doTERRA products can really make a difference in. So one of those is sleep with the whole Serenity sleep system. Another one is anxiety and stress. We have balance and adaptive touch that can be used on a daily basis to help you decrease the anxiety and the stress you're feeling. Pain and discomfort, sore muscles, achy joints. The Deep Blue products are amazing. I have used them so much, not only on myself, but for friends, for family, when they've injured themselves, when they're recovering from maybe overdoing it in exercise. It can be used for headache, muscle pain, joint pains. They're amazing products. Immune boosting. When you know you're going to be maybe exposed to extra bugs. Like I was recently at a conference with 50,000 people, literally from all over the world. So you know there were a lot of bugs floating around in the crowded exhibit hall and places where we were rubbing shoulders with thousands and thousands of people. These are the kinds of products that can help you with On Guard and Breathe, can help you with your immune system, and they help you maintain open airways. They're also useful if you have allergies or sinus or asthma issues. You can use it every day to boost your immune system. It's amazing. How about anti-aging and metabolism? If you're dealing with blood sugar issues, diabetes, pre-diabetes, metabolic syndrome, you'll really want to look at the MetaPower system. It has some products that really help optimize your metabolism, and their anti-aging help you with longevity at a foundational level. Digestion, issues with digestive issues, doTERRA's got a product for that too. But I recommend that you start with the foundation. And when you do that, the VMG, the Omegas, the PB Restore, you can actually get 25% off the retail price for a full year, plus have free shipping. And you get all of that for only $149.50. And it comes along with a free VMG Plus shaker and peppermint essential oil, which is amazing for so many things in your body. And if you know that you're dealing with a specific other challenge, you can add a focused solution. And when you do that, you get a free diffuser. So there's a lot of ways that you can access these things to really build that strong foundation for wellness in your own life. So you can take a screenshot of this if you want, just so that you have it for reference. And when you order the VMG Plus system on a monthly basis, because it's a 1-month supply, you will also get the most popular oils free. So it's 12 of our most popular oils are added to your kit for free, a different one every month. You can see how that is here. And you also get access to our wellness community for holistic support and resources. So these are things that you can take advantage of right now and start reaping the benefits for whole body wellness right away. So just a little recap, you can see a summary on the left side of some of the benefits you get as a member. I'm not going to go through all of them. You can also do a screenshot if you want to look at that later. And so this foundational wellness kit really sets you up for a perfect morning and evening routine. For example, this is an example. If you did the morning routine, the VMG with the E Omegas and the PB Restore, and then you added maybe one of those systems that would help with what your personal challenge is. Here's an example using the sleep system for an evening routine. It's simple, it's easy, you can travel with it and really make a difference in your foundational wellness. Now I know that there's always three types of customers, and I'm curious as to which one you are. So I want you to think about the answer. Number one, you're here for the products. Number two, you're already thinking about ways and other people in your life that could use doTERRA. Or three, you might be interested in making an income and impact in the lives of others. Just drop a one, two, or three in the chat for me. One, two, or three. Here you see the different designations. I'm just curious to know where you are today. And I want you to know that you can contact me if you're interested in learning how you can even earn these wellness products for free, or even make an additional up to $500 a month for your family just by sharing these holistic resources with others. So whatever you have seen today that we've talked about that you know would make a real difference for you in your foundational wellness, I want you to go ahead and drop that into the chat, and then we're going to be opening it up for question and answer. Well, I just want to thank all of you for showing up for yourselves today, for yourself and for your health. Thank you for being here, and we will definitely be in touch. Have a wonderful day.